Hi, hello, everybody. Welcome to Flashback with West Britain. And it's a special edition because we've got two very special guests on board. Right over on that side of the room is Luci Arnaz, Luckenbill. And on the other side is Jeffrey Sitcove. And he's got lots, well, they both got lots to tell you about a certain charity called Doors of Change. And well, I guess we can get started. We'll start off with Lucy, since you're the one that most everybody knows. Of course, everybody remembers her from the 60s when she was in a little pop band called Dino, Lucy, and Billy. Oh,
No,
oh no, that's not right. That was Dino, Desi, and Billy. Lucy was doing other things.
I wish I was in that band. I had a big crush on Dino, and I would have loved to have been in that band.
Well, I guess you got to hang out with the boys back in those days.
I did, and yeah, that happened long before he was working in that Dino, Desi, and Billy before I even got out of high school. So Desi
Ah,
started early.
well, let's see, your showbiz start really kind of began. In fact, we didn't mention this, but her mom and dad were Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, if you didn't know. Um, so, and her husband is Lawrence Luckenbill, if you didn't know. So before we dive into Doors of Change, Lucy, you got anything you can share with the folks about what you've been doing recently? What's been going on with you?
I do my concerts all over the country. I just got back from New Jersey, doing a wonderful big outdoor concert at the PCN Bank Center, and I'll be opening at the Purple Room again at the end of August. I'll be at Catalina Jazz in Los Angeles, June 27th and 28th, doing my one-woman show. It's all about the finding, the falling, the fantasies, the foul ups of falling in love. And
Oh,
but I kind of do that now. I mean, I jump in and out of films. I just did a little short piece in a film last week called Dr. Sam, and I have a lot of offers to go do theater, but I don't really want to travel away from Palm Springs and be away from my husband for as long as it takes to do a theater play right now. And so concerts suit me very well, and that's what I've been doing most of my life for the last 35 years, actually, in between theater pieces.
why don't you introduce your companion over there? Who's Jeffrey Sitkoff and why is he interested?
You want me to introduce Jeffrey? Oh,
Sure.
Jeffrey's just this silly guy who works out of the San Diego area. He does dumb stuff like trying to help homeless youths who are on the street. I don't know why. Why
Oh,
would anybody care about that? And we have a mutual friend named Harlan Bowl who introduced us, and he said Jeff needs some help sometimes getting people to care about what he does. And if you would loan your name to this organization and jump on board, it would really help them a lot. And I said yes immediately because Harlan's never asked me to do anything that wasn't first rate. And as soon as I got to know Jeffrey, I knew that I was involved in a first class operation that's been going strong for a couple of decades and has served thousands of homeless youth, and not just putting them in a place to live, but giving them things that they need to survive. And I think that's just a fantastic organization. It's not far from where I live. And I always believe doing things locally, think globally, work locally. And so this suits what I can do with my time very well. How'd I do, Jeffrey?
Did great, Lucy. We're so blessed to have Luci Arnaz and to have Harlan help us and to have Anson Williams and angels that really give up their time because they believe in this, in our mission. We've helped now over 2,900 homeless youth between the age of 17 and 24, the transitional age youth, get off the streets into safe housing. And I'm very, very excited to hear that we just signed a contract 2 months ago that actually we're going into high schools and the colleges now with Urban League in a partnership to offer free trade schools and college education to any homeless youth between 17 and 24. That's a game changer. And that's already 18 youth we've been able to put in this program in the past 2 months alone.
Wow,
and
amazing.
people didn't think about it. Obviously, when you think homeless, that, well, you need shelter. But these young people need a lot more than that, don't they?
They do. Lucy and you are probably great parents for your kids and stuff, but these youth that we work with, they have such dysfunctional families and parents that it's not safe for them to be in the house. Or if they're LGBTQ plus kids, 50% of our youth are, they get kicked out of their house within an hour of telling their parents that they're gay. And so these kids are on the streets with no help. They have tremendous amount of issues on the streets, a lot of trauma. And, we get them the mental health services that they need. We get them education. We get them anything that they need, the resources, so they can be self-sufficient and get off the streets and make a productive life of themselves, and also be role models for others.
Yeah.
You're based primarily in San Diego, right? You got headquarters there?
Correct. We have youth from all over the United States, and actually foreign youth that come to us from all over the world that want to, be able to live outside. A little easier to live in, outside in San Diego than in Buffalo, Detroit, Chicago, Philadelphia, which gets very cold in the winter. They can come and live outside all year round in Southern California. So we have kids from all over the country. But the most important thing is we accept any youth between 17 and 24 that is homeless or one step from being homeless. They're couch surfing, they're living in their cars. We help any of those kids to have a better life. They have to work hard, but if they do, they'll succeed and be role models for others.
How did you pick that age range?
That's a good question, Wes. Originally, we were helping 12 to 17-year-olds, which was great. But I kept seeing the older kids, the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds that were on the streets, and there was not one service provided for them. That was 24 years ago. And I said, something, we got to do something to help this age group that no one's helping. And so we went exclusively to the traditional age kids. It's the most underserved of anything of the homeless population. However, if you give them a hand up, which we do, not a handout, but a hand up, they break the cycle of homelessness, Wes, more than any other age group, because they haven't been on the streets that long, and they're able to get out of it.
Yeah.
Well, Lucy, I have a feeling you've gotten to meet a number of these folks, haven't you?
No, not really. I haven't.
Oh, really?
I've just seen a lot of the videos, the interviews with them, and the wonderful videos on the website of the success stories. These kids have come back and said, if it wasn't for Doors of Change, God only knows where I would be. He has a couple of amazing success stories of people who were homeless and now they're lawyers. It's very empowering. It makes me feel good because right now, to be quite honest, I don't feel like there's much I can do about some of the horrible things that are going on around us in this country. And that lack of power, that lack of control is kind of debilitating. And when you can do something that actually makes a difference, it gives you back a little sense of I'm just not, what's the word? I mean, powerless is the best thing I can think of, but
I understand. You're not alone. I think we all feel that.
Impotent, so that I can't make a difference. There's nothing you can do. Sometimes we feel that there's just nothing. I can't seem to, there's nothing we can do. You can protest, you can do. But when you find something that you can actually make a difference in someone's life and there are tangible things you can do, that is a great feeling. And he's giving people an opportunity to help. And what he does works. And, it started, I guess what really interested me originally, and it isn't all about that right now, but originally Jeffrey started teaching kids about music and art, performing, teaching them how to play a guitar, saying, you want to learn how to do this? And we'll get you a guitar. Do you want to learn the bass? Do you want to learn piano? Which I love, because coming from an artistic family, I really believe that the arts can release tensions and get to the bottom of a lot of
Reach the spirit.
Well, yeah, a lot of stuff is bottled up when they've had a tough time at home or they're on the streets. And music and art is a great way to kind of shake that out and figure it out. And that's how they started. They don't do that all the time now because COVID kind of got in the way and it was hard to bring them together like that. But that's how I first got connected, because I thought that made great sense that he was approaching young people from that aspect.
We actually did it for 18 years, Wes. We had a very successful award-winning program called Taking Music and Art to the Streets. We saw over 8,000 homeless kids in that program, and we loved it. And after COVID, we had to shut it down. We have been actually significantly more successful as far as placing youth in homes with our new program called the Homeless Youth Advocacy Program, because we're like advocates for these kids. We're basically like their surrogate parents. And so we've actually tripled the amount of youth we're housing now than we were before this Homeless Youth Advocacy Program. And hopefully, God willing, within the next 2 years, we want to reestablish our music and art program, but we have to have increased amount of money to be able to do that long term. So we want to make sure we wait until we get enough money built up so we'll have a long-term stability, so we'll be able to continue to do the art program with it eventually.
Well, since you mentioned that, and I plan to get to this later, tell the folks how they can contribute. How can people help?
Yes, and people, number one, it's very hard to trust today. And I know there's, in San Diego alone, there's 10,000 nonprofits. So who do you trust?
Right.
Thank God we've been around for 24 years. Thank God that Luci Arnaz, Anson Williams, Elton John, Billy Joel, the Rolling Stones, Santana, Bruce Springsteen, and many others trusted us. And when they trusted us, they keep signing memorabilia for us or helping us with, with interviews like Lucy's doing, because they know that what we're doing is the real deal. And so people can go to doorsofchange.org. That's our website. There's several videos of the youth speaking on it. They're tremendous success stories, as Lucy has said. I'll share one in a second, but doorsofchange.org. Now, you can also say, okay, I want to help. What do I do? The easiest thing is be an Angel Team member, which means for $11 a month minimum, you could give us $50 a month, but whatever you can give from 11, because 1 is angels. So if you give $11 or more, you'll get monthly, auto pay taken out of your pay or whatever. You won't even know it's gone because it's only a little amount. But if we have 1,000 people that give us $11 a month, that's $130,000 a year. We can reopen up the music program. We can have another case manager to help more kids. We need that help, especially because of what's going on politically and economically right now with the, things are getting cut, things are getting frozen. We need the community and the country to say, listen, it's unacceptable to have 4.2 million youth that are living on the streets between 17 and 24 in our country.
It's insane.
It's at 4.2 million. Well, you mentioned a success story. Can you share some success stories now?
I was with Justine yesterday, actually, and Justine is one of our biggest success stories. She was on the streets between 12 and 16 because her mom was an alcoholic. Her mother's boyfriend used to beat her up, literally drag her by her hair up the stairs, and then he started taking her clothes off at 12 years old. And she said, I'm not going to be raped. I'm getting the hell out of here. And so she left at 12 years old and was on the streets for 4 years. Shaved her head, joined a gang, looked like a boy, had a trench coat on, wore all black. And then eventually I met her when she was 16 years old. She was on suicide watch for 6 months. And our music and art program basically opened her up, made a change in her life. She started making jewelry in our art program. For 18 years, she supported herself through San Diego, City College. Then she went to University of Santa Barbara and got a degree, undergrad in two different professions. Then she went to law school and graduated law school. And that's just one example of a kid that was on the streets on suicide watch. And now, 18 years later, she's a successful person, full-time work, got her law degree, and that's just one of our kids that, you can help make a difference, getting more Justines of the world so she can be a role model. They can be role models for others. Give these kids hope that they can do the same.
That's right.
I suspect if people go to Doors of Change, they not only can contribute to the cause, but if there's, homeless youth out there, and somebody knows a homeless youth, they could get a hold of you to talk about your services.
Absolutely. They can give us a call anytime, 24/7. We're on the phone 24/7. If a kid calls us at 3 a.m, we'll pick up the phone. We're one of the only ones in our city that does that, if not the only one. And so when kids know that they get an immediacy, when they call, we pick it up. It's like, whoa, this is different than I've experienced before. We get them the services quickly. We come through with our word. And that's how we build trust very quickly with these youth because they don't trust anybody. Why would they, right? But we develop trust quickly. And when they trust you, they're open to suggestions. And one of them is that, we think that maybe you could benefit from speaking to a mental health specialist because you've been under such trauma. They can help you with that. And so we had 335 youth visits in the last 3 years alone, which is really significantly increased. And we just keep getting the youth the services that they need. Every youth is different. But thank God for Luci helping us get the word out. People are saying, something, I want to do something. Please take action, because if you're touched and you don't do anything, it doesn't help a damn bit of good. But if you join the angel team, you say, so I'm going to give $1,000 donation. I'm going to give a $5 donation. Whatever you can do is wonderful. We appreciate it, but it's going to help these kids have a better life.
Well, Lucy, you've been quiet there for a while. You got any points you want to make?
I just love hearing Jeffrey talk about this. Every time I hear him explain it, I'm so moved by the possibilities and how little really it takes to help these kids. You just got to show up for them. I mean, for the most part, they've been told they're worthless and they're not lovable. And they've taken to the streets because their home is not safe. And to find someone that says, yes, you are, you're worth something. And of course you're lovable. And I believe you can do anything. What do you need right now? Let me help you. I mean, that's insane. That's just so fabulous that there's somebody out there. Maybe there are other organizations that do that. I don't know of any. I hope there are. But Jeffrey hasn't been doing this his whole life. Tell him what happened, Jeffrey, about how you got into this. I think it's kind of, they say you never know why things happen, and then they happen for a reason,
It's called making lemonade out of lemons. I was a physical therapist for 18 years. I had a successful practice. I had 4 therapists working for me, 17 employees. And within a second, my life changed. I had a spinal cord injury and I had to stop my profession. And after a lot of soul searching, I went on outreach one night to hear, I said, homeless kids in our community? Yes. Go and see how they get them off the streets. And there was that one night experience 24 years ago. I get goosebumps. I'm thinking about it right now. I heard a kid speak for about 20 minutes nonstop. She was 18 years old. I kept saying, she has such wisdom. How does she know all this stuff? And after she left, the outreach workers looked at me and said, that's the first thing she has said to us in 6 months. We gave her food, we gave her clothing, we offered her stuff. She didn't talk to us. And then finally, she realized that we were safe and she opened up. And that was like having God hit me over the head with a hammer saying, this is it. And I've been doing it nonstop for 24 years now, getting kids off the streets.
Isn't that wild? Isn't that a wonderful story? Because I always believe this, we don't know what anything is for. It says that in the Course of Miracles. And I thought, that's very true. And not quite the same as everything happens for the best. It's not quite the same. It's like it is in a way, but we don't know what anything is for. It takes a much higher metaphysical look at everything that goes on, and that there's cause and effect. And something that you think is the worst thing that could have possibly happened to you at that time, you say, okay, I don't understand this, but we don't know. We don't know what anything is for. And sure enough, this has happened to me 100 million times. I just give it a little time. Something happens, or I turn a corner because of that. I meet somebody because of that. And it changes my life for the better. And I think that's exactly what happened to Jeffrey.
Yeah. This would never have happened if I wasn't injured. So it really was
That's right. It never would have happened if that hadn't happened to you. And I think a lot of these kids might feel, maybe I never would have had the inspiration to go as far as I did go if I hadn't been on the street and bumped into somebody from Doors of Change who gave me, if I'd stayed at home and just suffered through it, until I could finally get a $4 job and get out of there, they may never have had the impetus to go back to school, to believe in themselves enough to think they could ever be somebody like a lawyer. Things happen for a reason. That doesn't mean it's a good thing that kids are on the street. That's not at all what I'm saying. But things, you can, like he said, turn lemons into lemonade if you look at it the right way.
Yeah, take the problem and then look for the solution to it. Now, Jeffrey, I'm sorry. Earlier, you said something about placing kids in homes. Are you looking for foster homes for kids?
We help 90% of the youth we work with are street kids. They didn't even qualify for the program. Now we help ex-foster kids and street kids, but majority of them are street kids. We're always looking for outlets, people that have homes that are specialized in working with homeless youth, not just a home, because you have to be, it's called trauma-informed care. You have to be specialized in a certain way of dealing with these youth because they've had such trauma in their life, Wes. If you don't know how to work with them properly, you can hurt them and they can take advantage of you. So it's very important that you have trauma-informed care training. And we've got 117 partnerships in the Southern California region with homelessness. And several of them are people that have 20-bed units, 30-bed units, et cetera. So we get them in safe housing. And some of them are permanent housing. We're trying to get more and more kids into permanent housing so they have long-term stability.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time we bring in a new character to the play. Over in Manchester, England, is a sexy lady named Karina Cantus, and I bet she's itching to ask some questions. Am I right, Karina?
I actually recognize the name of your organization because the last interview you did was with me and Wes, and what was his name?
That was Anson Williams.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that was back about 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2023.
Yeah. So what has happened since then? I mean, back then it was.
That's a great question.
You
So
know,
since Lucy and Anson have been our angels for the last 3 years, we have now housed, with their help, 805 youth in the last 3 years alone. And we wouldn't have been able to do it without Lucy and Anson's help because so many people know them and they say, listen, I'm going to listen to their interview because they're famous people. I know them. But because they're great people and they have such a big heart for our mission, thank God for them that they've allowed us to be able to, have people listen to our mission and to hear our success stories. So 805 kids, Lucy, have gotten housing because your help.
That's very nice. That's wonderful to know. It works both ways. We rub each other's backs because it makes us feel great that we can actually do something with this silly thing called celebrity. But once in a while it pays off,
So what's the next on the agenda? What's the next big thing that you need help with, basically? I know you need help all the time, but
well, number one, joining the Angel. We need more monthly money coming in because we've expanded so much now. Our homeless youth advocacy program has tripled the amount of youth we're placing into housing every year. And we need money for case managers. We need money for the program director. We need money for the people that are actually on the ground with these youth. And for $11 a month or more, you can go to our website of doorsofchange.org, be an Angel team member, and get $11 donated out of your paycheck or out of your bank once a month. You could do $18, $30, $50, whatever you can do is great. But if we have 1,000 people doing that, that's $130,000 extra, which we can hire these people and expand to help more youth have a better life. That's number one. Number two, we have a concert once a year. It's called the Concert of Hope. Yeah. And this year, it's on September 6th. If anybody can get to Southern California it's a week after Labor Day, when people are back to school, when the kids are back, etc., come to San Diego, September 6th. The National Rolling Stones tribute band, Jumping Jack Flash, will headline. Whitney Shea Band, who's a blues award-winning group, will open the show. 100% of your ticket proceeds, I'm not exaggerating, 100% goes to get kids off the streets. We've already raised enough money to pay all the expense of the concert by our wonderful corporate angels, and everything now goes to our program to get kids off the streets. Doorsofchange.org. You can get tickets for the concert September 6th, or just be an Angel team member. Anything would be appreciated.
That's wonderful. What about yourself, Lucy? Anything going on with you that's coming up with the organization as well?
No, I'm going to try to be at that concert. And when I'm called, I try to show up. As many of these types of interviews and getting the word out is what I concentrate on, and just letting people know this wonderful organization exists, and to give people the idea that there is something that they can do, something you can contribute to making it safe for some of our homeless youth. And, if everybody feels like I do when I pass these kids, even in my neighborhood here in beautiful Palm Springs, plenty of homeless people because it's beautiful Palm Springs. And if you're going to be homeless, don't be, like he says, in Buffalo in the winter. Springs is gets a little toasty in the summer, but it breaks my heart. I can't imagine how they're there. And I don't believe what a lot of people say there are a lot of people who pass by kids on the street or older people on the street, and they kind of sneer at them as if, oh God, why don't they just get their act together? Having absolutely no idea what their life is like and how this happened and how hard they've tried not to be there. And the older people are usually people, like Jeffrey said, who have been there too long and they weren't caught soon enough. And it's now just a way of life for them. And I don't know how that's any better than just being shot, That's not living. And to see young people take that as their only alternative is so disheartening to me.
It's really devastating. It's amazing what you're both doing about the organization and how it's grown. That's wonderful. That it's working, and it can work, and with more help, of course, you can help more people. Thank you so much for coming on the show and chatting with us, and I'll leave Wesley to finish off.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you
So
so
we
much.
don't have much time to do anything, and I was going to ask Lucy some personal questions. Like, you got a husband who's doing some work on memory, right?
Oh, he just wrote a fantastic autobiography. Lawrence Luckenbill. He wrote an autobiography called Effective Memories: How Chance in the Theater Saved My Life. And it's all about his crazy growing up in the Ozark Mountains with an alcoholic father and a not so great youth himself, and how finding the arts and the theater really saved him, and eventually leads to him doing one-man plays about great Americans. It's a saga, and it's real. If I do say so myself, I'm a little prejudiced, but beautifully written. And it's been doing great out on the circuit. And so I'm very proud of him. Thank you for even mentioning that, Wesley. I appreciate that.
Well, I was doing my homework, and that just struck me because I'm big into memory.
Yeah, I love biographies, autobiographies and biographies.
Yeah.
Practically the only thing I read. And he wrote a great one. I'm so proud of him.
Well, tell the folks how Lucy and Desi's grandkids are doing. How are your children?
Oh, my kids are great. Are you still around here, Kate? My daughter's in the other room. She was over here. We're giving a birthday party for my 6-year-old grandson, JD, on Saturday. And so my daughter, Kate, is over here today, and we were going through all the decorations and what we're going to do at the pool. It's like an ocean theme, underwater theme party. And I'm so blessed because all 3 of my kids and one of my stepsons lives in Palm Springs. They all live in Palm Springs right now around us. And we didn't say, come live here. They've sort of gravitated here one by one. And so that means all 3 of our grandchildren are here too. So it's that part of our life right now is absolutely charmed.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard a very powerful hour, I think, with Lucy and with Jeffrey, and hope you dive into the realm of Doors of Change.
Well, we sure hope that you enjoyed this week's exciting episode of Flashback with West Britain. But hey, while you're at the Artist First page, why not stop by the Flashback with West Britain archives and see all of the years and all of the interviews we put there? Why not stop by the Flashback with West Britain Facebook page and drop a note, give us a line. What did you think of our shows? Come to think of it, why don't you just send me an email? I'm at Spywise, SPYWISE, all one word, all lowercase, spywise@verizon.net. Tell me what you think of the goings-on here at Flashback with West Britain. So, till next week, happy trails from the folks at Flashback.